Section 6.4 listed these basic functions. The first one is the cosine function, is the sine function. Let's a little bit so we can see the difference between the sine and the cosine. But that's our goal. And you have to know, check the difference. Always look to the zero. For the sine 0 equal 0. So when you see the function go inside the 0, it means this is what? Sine function. So this is the sine function. Or sine, yeah, doesn't matter. If you see one at the point 0, how much is going to be? 1. That means this is what? Cosine function. We already have these two graphs. Now, here's the important fact. Remember the circle? So let's check the circle. It was no circle here. We started from which point here?
2 pi or 360 or 0.
From 0. So we started from 0, go one circle, go back here. How much is going to be? 2 pi. So from 0 and go back to the 2 pi. So this is one circle, right? Let's check it here. I said from 0 to 2 pi. It's called period. From 0 to the 2 pi. From 0, you see that means what's happening here? It's a circle. You got it? So it's a circle for this sine function. Started from 0 to the 2 pi. Started from 0 to 2 pi. You see the function inside? Pi over 2, which is 90. Pi, which is 180. 3 pi over 2, 270, and then 2 pi. So from 0 to 2 pi, this is called period, which is 2 pi. So they're telling you the period is mean how much? 2 pi, okay? Because that's what we're gonna graph. Go ahead.
So is the period always 2 pi?
2 pi. The period is 2 pi, and we're gonna find it. It depends about, because now we're working with sine and cosine, so the period is going to be 2 pi.
So if we have to find the period, it's not always going to be 2 pi.
It's not always going to be 2 pi, but we don't want to find it. But the main thing, when they're telling you find the period, that's mean you're gonna find one set. It depends about how is the function, because we're gonna shift these two functions. We're gonna stretch, we're gonna shrink it. Okay, I'm gonna give you steps. Now check for the cosine. From 0 to 2 pi. So here is the period. You got it? So this is one set. That means the sine function is looked like a wave. So this is one circle. This is how much?
Another circle.
Another circle. I'm not going to care about this side because when I'm going to graph it, I need to graph one period, which is this. Okay, so now we know that the period is 2 pi, which is one circle.
I thought it said that when you graph it, you have to graph 2 periods.
No, we're just gonna stick with one period, which is fine if you want to graph 2 periods, but I'm gonna give you steps to graph 1 period, and that's what I need you to do, the steps. Another thing, check the range for the sine and the cosine. The range which is being the y coefficient. The domain, we're not gonna care about the domain because keep going from both sides.
All of them.
Yes, but the range from -1 to from -1 to 1. So, and the thing here, you have to be careful because if we shift the whole function up, that means the range is going to be different. If we shift this one 5 units up, that means it's going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Shifting the whole graph 5 units, shifting the whole graph 5 units down. That's what we're going to do. One more thing. From the minimum point here, it's called what? Amplitude. What's that? Yeah. And we're gonna check that also. Absolutely. So the only thing I need to know here. Now let's jump to the next part, which is they're telling you the range is going to be until -1 and 1. And check the difference between these two functions. Check the sine function is symmetric over the origin, which is mean this side equal to this side. This side here equal to this side is the same thing. This one equal to this one. So it's symmetric over origin. The origin. What about the sine? The cosine?
Metric to the Y.
To the y, symmetric to the y, because this side equal exactly like here. So this one is symmetric over y. Amplitude and the period. How are we gonna find these? Again, the amplitude is what?
It's the distance between the top and the bottom.
Yes, the maximum and the minimum. For the wave, how much is going to be the wave? And the period is going to be
The-
1 second. Okay? The important part, and it's only the definition, I need to focus on these two parts. So put circle on these two parts. So the sine and the cosine, when you're going to do techniques on it, shift it up, shift it down, shift here. I put down these two formulas here from you. The first number is going to be, which is the vertical stretch or shrink. It depends about. If it's greater than 1, it's going to be stretch. If it's between 0 and 1, which is like a fraction, it's going to be shrink. Shift left or right is going to be here. So write down so you can know. This one is for the vertical shift. Sorry. Stretch. Vertical stretch. Here is going to be shift what? Left or right? Left or right. And the D is for what?
Up or down.
Up or down. So the vertical shift. So you just have to know the same thing for the cosine. The same thing. A, this is going to be the shift left or right, and D. Always you have to know it's A cosine bx minus c, and here is A sine bx minus c. Always here between is going to be shift left or right, bx minus c. So you have to memorize the formulas. So it's a vertical stretch. If the number here is greater than 1, you want to write down these. If A here is greater than 1, that's means 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is going to be vertical stretch. If the A less than 1, between 0 and 1, that means it's going to be fraction. 1/2, 1/5, 1/10 is going to be shrink. Bx minus c and d is going to be shift and down, up and down. This one is going to be shift left and right. I need you just to memorize these because we're going to use it to graph the sine and cosine. Now we have another 2 basic functions, which is the sine and cosine. How to find the amplitude? And what it says, the amplitude y equal a sine x, which is mean here, the same a here, the same a here, and y equal a cosine represent half the distance. So the wave for sine cosine, let's say here's the wave, okay? Where is the half of distance, which is from here to there?
From 0 to 1 or 0 to -1.
Yes, it depends about the graph. So here's the amplitude, which is the wave, because the wave goes up and down. We need to study how much the amplitude for the one wave is going to be. The amplitude, which is the absolute value of A. So this is the easiest part. We're just going to say absolute value. Why we put absolute value? Because sometimes you have negative number. We need to find the height of the leg. There's no height with negative. So we say absolute value of A, which is going to be positive number. How to find the period?
You find over B.
B is from the shifting. B, the number is going to be in front of the X. The number in front of the X. So B is going to be, to find the period is going to be 2 pi over B. Find the period. Is that hard so far? Let's find the amplitude or the period. So look here. Tell me the formula. Remember the two formulas on the top?
2 pi divided by B.
No, it's not the formula for to find the area. I need the formula for the y equals sine and cosine. So y equal, it's a sine
Yeah.
bx minus c plus d, right? This is the general formula. And the other one, a equal a cosine
BX.
bx minus c plus d. I'm gonna write down the same function here. Y equal 3 cosine bx. Yes or no? Now, I'm gonna ask you, how much a? Because cosine, same this one, so a equal 3. So a equal 3. How much b? No? Oh, this is 6x, it's
Yeah.
not.
No, that why there are three of them.
So this is.
I'm
Tell me before I'm moving on.
reading my paper.
So how much b? Check 6x. This is bx. That's mean b equal 6. How much c?
0.
There is no c here. There is no minus a number. So c equals 0. How much d?
0.
So c equals 0 and d equals 0. You got it? That's important when you look at A, B, C, D. Okay?
Same thing like the Pythagorean theorem. Or
The same thing, but we're not gonna use it here. So now, can I find the period? The rule says what? The period equal what? 2 pi over,
B.
that's mean 2 pi over
6.
2 pi over 6. Simplify it, we're going to be what?
Pi over 3.
Over 3. You're gonna type here pi over 3. What we said, for the period for the sine and cosine, the period is 2 pi. But the period for this one, equal what?
Pi over 3.
So think, what happened to the function? The function is
Stretch.
stretch. So the period is going to be lower. Stretch by 3.
But when we have the pi over 3, you're still gonna have to find 4 places for the curve.
Yes, we still have to find 4 places. I'm gonna show you how to do that. Don't overthink. I'm gonna give you steps how to graph it, because our goal is to graph the whole thing. That's the goal for this section. Go ahead.
Could you draw the period, like how it would look like?
For this one,
Yeah,
not now.
okay,
We're gonna graph it. I'm gonna show you.
okay, thank you.
But the main thing, because these are steps, the 2 steps from the graphing. To find the period and to find what? How we gonna find the altitude?
The.
The absolute value,
Of A.
so absolute value of A, which is equal to absolute value of
3.
which is equal to 3. That means here 3. Can I do the same thing here?
No.
Who said no? Can I do the same thing here? So write down this exactly here and tell me how much A, how much B, and how much C. And find, because these are 2 steps from graphing. Go ahead.
So, to get the period on this, would you just do 2 pi x over 5 or?
Why? I'm talking to you, okay.
Would you, to get the period on this, would you do 2 pi over x over, or 2 pi,
But-
2
but-
pi x over 8?
But you don't have to write down the X.
Or would it just be 2 pi over? I'm just confused on how you would write it.
I'm telling you, that's the important part. So let's work on it. It's a good try. So let's check this one. First of all, I can see sine, right? Look here. I can see sine. So I'm gonna write down the general form for the sine, which is y of one, a sine bx minus c plus d. Yes or no?
Yeah.
Now, I'm gonna write down this exactly the same thing here. Y of -3 sine. Can I write down this? Pi over 5x,
Yeah.
pi over 5, and here's the x minus c. There's no c. Close the parentheses. Last b is 0. Yes or no?
Mhm.
Yes or no?
Nah, why would you take the X away?
It doesn't matter. I didn't do anything because pi over 5 times x over 1, pi times x, pi x,
Or
5 times 1
5.
is the same thing here. But the main thing when I'm doing this to show you, when I need to find the period, is going to be 2 pi over b, which is equal what?
He is pi
2 pi,
over
how much the b?
pi over 5.
Pi over 5. But I don't have to write down the x.
Number associated
So
with that.
pi over 5. And what's the next?
So now instead of dividing, we multiply by the reciprocal.
Yes. Which is good.
2 pi over 1.
2 pi over 1, these are both the steps.
Yeah.
Take the reciprocal here, which is
5 over pi. So that's what, this is the step I understand. So pi cancels out, correct?
now
cancels out,
pi
yeah.
cancels out.
So that's gonna be.
2 times 5 is going to be. You got it?
You gotta explain it for the people in the back.
You lost me.
Okay, let's do it
I
again.
guess.
Yes.
Let's do it.
So.
You can find the period and everything.
Why did you take that X out of the?
Oh, like on the.
Yeah, you
like,
did. It's pi,
Whatever, that's beyond me.
pi x over 5. Why did you take the X out of?
I'm taking the x, I took the x, so I do it exactly the same thing with the formula. But when I took the x out, I didn't do anything wrong. Because x is over 1, right?
It's just some.
It's the same thing, I just need to show you that's mean 5 over 5 x is the same thing bx. And can I add down x over 1? Pi times x, pi x. 5 times 1 is going to be 5. So this one is exactly the same thing, this one. Okay?
Associated with it, but not.
To show you, because when we're doing the graph, you don't have to do these steps,
Okay.
but you have to know what you're doing.
So the period is 10 for the answer?
The PX going to be.
So basically,
That's it.
whenever.
So I don't understand how,
Okay.
how is it doesn't have a pi?
Because our goal is just to learn how to find the period.
It's 2 pi.
It's a number of sides.
Yeah, the cancel out, the pi cancels that out.
The thing just have to do with the graph, which is the height of the wave. How much is going to be the wave? It's going to be 3, and this one is going to be 3. Let's check the next part, which is the steps. Here is the steps to graph the sine and cosine function. Always do it step by step. The first step is what?
Make sure you're written in the proper form.
That's the important step. So in order to be confused, always you have to write down
Just forget what I said, I'm sorry.
the function in this form. There is something wrong with this form. Have to fix it. Which is the same form here for the sine and cosine. The only difference is what? Sine, there's cosine. So don't look to this one. You're gonna confuse yourself. So y equal a sine bx minus c plus d. That's the formula, and a cosine bx minus c plus d. So here is the two general form. asymptote, which is what? The
Absolutely.
absolute value of A. But I'm telling you, if the absolute value of A less than 1, how much is going to be? Vertical shrink. Okay, that's mean a fraction. If you have 1/3 sine, that means going to be vertical shrink.
It doesn't specify a fraction, it just says less than one, so that could be 0, negative
So,
3.
so yeah, fix it between, let's say, A less than 1 and greater than 0. Okay, so going between 0 and 1, you can fix this one. And if A greater than 1, it's going to be what? Vertical stretch, okay? Period is going to be 2 pi over B. Basis check, which is what? Basis check. Well, it's gonna be shift left or right. So they call it basis shift, okay? How are we gonna find the basis shift? Bx minus
See,
C. The only thing here with this step, we're just gonna write down the basis shift, which is basis shift is going to be B x minus C. Just write down how much it's going to be when you have a new function. Next step is what? We know the vertical shift with these two functions is what? The D. The D is the vertical shift. Draw the resting line. That's important. The resting line, which is when we have with the cosine and sine function, the basic functions, the resting y equal 0, D equal 0, which is this line. And the sine and cosine will go here. But when we have different function, have different resting line. How are we gonna find that? Y equal D. How am I gonna get the D? The D is going to be from the function that they give it to you. So we have a new resting line. This is the first thing you're going to graph. When you graph the XY coordinate, the first line you're going to graph is what? The resting line. You have the resting line. Now, we don't know from which point you're going to start. Okay, so we have to find initial point. How are we gonna find the initial point? Determine the initial point of the period, which is
Bx minus C plus.
Bx minus C, equal what? So we're gonna take everything between the parentheses and equal it to 0. Everything between the parentheses and equal to 0. Then I'm going to solve this one for x. Keep the x on this side, move the c to the other side, and divide both sides by b. We're gonna get the initial point. That's mean your graph is gonna start from this point. Go ahead.
So what about if B is negative? Can you make it a positive when you switch them to the,
You're talking about this one?
Yeah.
B negative?
yeah, and then when you shift it to the other.
Because if you have, let's do it here. If you have like negative 3x plus 5 equals 0.
Yeah, and then.
I'm gonna get, I need to solve it for x. So I'm gonna move the 5 to the other side. So negative 3x is going to be equal what? Negative 5.
Oh.
Then I'm gonna divide both sides by negative. That means x is going to be equal 5 over 3. You got it?
Where did you get them?
No. Example.
That's,
Just an example. Because she asked, what about if b is a negative number? This is a b, a negative number. How are we gonna solve it? That's the way you're gonna solve it. You got it? What's the next point? So now I have initial point. The next part, I'm gonna start from the maximum or the minimum. From this initial point. I'm gonna show you with the graph. So if we have positive, this is important. If we have positive sign, we're gonna start from the resting position and go to the maximum. Okay, we're gonna do these steps one by one. If we have negative sign, we're gonna start from the resting position and goes where? To the minimum. We're gonna go down, not go up. Okay? The resting point, the resting line, which is this one. So if it's sine, I'm gonna start from where? From here, let's say from the 0, because it's the basic sign, and goes where? If it's positive, I'm gonna go to the maximum. I'm gonna go up. If it's negative, I'm gonna go where? I'm gonna go down. You see, that's the difference. For the cosine, Positive cosine start from the maximum, not start from the resting point. So for the maximum, we're gonna start, here is the start point, I'm gonna start from the maximum point here. Okay, and go down, go to the resting. The negative, I'm gonna start from where? From the minimum and go to the resting. We're gonna do that with the steps, go ahead.
Why on our graphing, on our list of, steps for graphing, why doesn't it have the, what's it called again? The reflecting of the X or Y,
We're gonna check that, there's no reflection, because we're gonna do that with the graph.
okay.
I'm gonna, these steps, when you graph it, you can note that there is a correction for the sign. Determine what? Endpoint, so these are two important. That's been my graph start from this point and the end to which point is the same thing, bx minus c. The start point, I'm gonna equal to 0 and solve it for x. The end point, I'm gonna equal to what? To 2 pi and solve it also for x.
Because it's the whole circle.
Yes, that means I'm gonna start from here and my graph is gonna end where? To this point. So I have 2 points and the graph is going to be between these 2 points. And I'm sure 100% between these 2 points is going to be what? One period. Got it? One circle, because that's our goal. Next step, find the x scale. So between the one period, end point, last point, how am I gonna get these points between? 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So I'm gonna take the period and divide it by 4. I'm gonna get the x scale. Then I'm gonna start from the first point and add how much? The x scale, which is the next step. So I have the x scale, I have the first point, I have the end point. What I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna put the first point and add initial point and add the x scale to get the second point. Then I'm gonna get the second point and add the x scale to get the third point. You got it? So don't shout. We're gonna do these steps with example, so you know what I'm doing. Step by step. Then the last step, you're gonna do what? It's graph the graph.
Is it always 4?
It's always 4. Because the period is start from 0, then what? Pi over 2, then pi, then go back to the original one. You got it? That was one circle with the circle, okay? So always divide it by 4, always. What's the first step? So now I have sine function, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm gonna write down on the side the general form, which is y equal a sine
Cosine.
y cosine.
Oh,
You don't have
oh,
sine.
oh, yeah, I'm doing. Yeah.
So sine bx minus c plus d. Okay? Now I'm gonna ask you. A equal what? 2. A equal 2. B equal what? 0. No, you can see.
One.
B is the number beside the x. Always bx. So if it's 0, that means there is no x. How much is the number here? 1. Don't say 0. Okay, so it's 1. So B is equal 1. That's good point, because a lot of students they put 0. How much C? How much D? That's it. This is step 1. Yes or no? Now, so step 1, we got step 1. I'm gonna say here's step 1. I need to locate these. Let's jump.
Here they
Step
are.
what?
There they are. I found them. There they are.
Step 2 is what? Up to 2, which is
Up to value of A.
absolute value of A. Which is equal the absolute value, how much the A? 2. So it's going to be what? 2. Is that okay?
But if it's a negative, you have to leave it in absolute value, correct?
No, if it's negative, that's good. If it's negative 2, between the absolute value, the result is going to be what?
Negative.
Positive. So if you have negative 2, the result is going to be It's two.
Oh, because I put in the homework as absolute -7, it took it.
Yeah, because it's mean, they consider it's a positive seven.
Yeah.
So-
Oh, okay, that's, I get it now.
But when you graph, you have to make it sure it's a positive number.
So if the negative is outside, then it would be -2?
Yes, if it's negative, absolute value of two. Because the absolute value, any number inside these two lines, the result is what? Positive. If I have negative outside, you have to keep this negative sign. So it'll give me -2, okay? Don't overthink it. So the amplitude always going to be what? Positive. Step three. Well, let's get in step three,
Period.
which is 2 pi over.
Or
So the period equal 2 pi over 1, which is equal. Yes or no? Equal 2 pi. That's cool. So I know, I'm guessing, because it's 2 pi, so maybe it's gonna start from 0 until 2 pi. I'm just guessing. Now, what's the next step? Step 4. Step 4 is what? Which is, we're not gonna use this one. But bx minus c equal what? How much the bx minus c gives? What's the similar thing? here?
1.
Just the x, which is 1x. So this is the basis. So I'm gonna type just 1. X, and I'm telling you, you're gonna use this one. You got it? Okay, why it's x. Now, our function is what? Y equal to sine x. So look here. Sine bx minus c. This is the basis, right? I have sine x. So does that mean this part, the whole part equal x?
Yeah.
The whole part here is equal to x here. You got, that's it. We're not gonna use this one.
Can it be like actual number though?
Yes, it will be, with the next example, we will see, there will be different numbers. It depends about what I have here. I started from simple example. Then I'm gonna give you another example until we're gonna get the hard one.
Okay.
Okay? I'm telling you, step 4, we didn't use it that much. Okay? Step 1. Step 2, find the amplitude. Step 3, find the period. Step 4, the phases. Step 5 is what? What?
Particle shape.
Where is the vertical shape?
Yeah, there is no.
It's 0, there is no D, right? That's mean D equals 0. What's the other step?
The other rest.
Draw the rest of the line.
Okay, now, step 6, right? How are we gonna do the resting line? The resting line is what?
Zero.
It says Y equal D. That's mean step 6, Y equal D. That's mean Y equal 0. Yes, it is.
Yeah, that was happening yesterday in class.
That's your phone vibrating, right?
It was much louder.
So Y equal? Y equal 0. So you're gonna go to the graph, I'm gonna do a simple graph here. Y equals 0, that's mean the resting line, this one. Y equal?
So that doesn't answer the question.
What do you mean? So, yeah, because this is how much the Y here at this point. It's 0. If it's Y1, it's gonna go up. If it's Y negative, it's gonna go down. You got it? So 0, 1, 2, 3 is the line. It's gonna go up and down. And we're gonna do another example. You will see this line is not gonna be here. It's gonna be up or down. Okay? Now, what's the next step? 7. What's 7?
The initial endpoint,
Initial point, end point, initial end point. How are we gonna find that?
bx
Minus
minus
c equals 0. So where is the bx minus c? You see that what I did here? Bx minus c is the same thing, the point. x. I'm gonna say bx minus c equals 0. So how much bx minus c?
Zero.
X equals 0. So this is my initial point, x equals
Zero.
0. So on the graph, the initial point, which one? This is the initial point. I'm gonna start from the 0, okay? Next step. What is on next step?
Divide right.
Next step is what?
Determine the best end point, deal on
No, before that, what is set?
The last endpoint.
If it's positive, so now I have sine. If it's positive, it's gonna go where? From the resting line, go up or down? Up. Before that, now, I'm gonna go up until where?
Two,
Why?
that's the starting point.
No.
Is that the maximum?
No. How you find the maximum? You said 2, but why 2? That's an important question. You said 2. The what? The asymptote. So, you see how I'm getting the asymptote? The asymptote is the highest point of the graph. So, how much is going to be here? 2. And how much is going to be from the bottom? -2.
Does that mean that the amplitude is always the maximum?
The maximum and the minimum, always.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's how you know the dip, how far.
Perfect. But be careful from the resting line.
Oh.
So if the resting line is 2,
Then you have to- yeah.
yes,
So it'll be 4.
4 and 2,
Zero.
Okay.
and 0,
Four,
0, yes.
That
So
makes sense.
from the resting line. So now, here is my resting line. I'm gonna go up 2 and go down 2. Now, go back to the 4 A, B, C, D. It says if it's sine, starting from the resting point, I'm go where?
If it's positive, you go up.
You're gonna go up. So I know I'm gonna go up from here.
Mhm.
But to which point? Do you have the other point? No.
No,
So that's what we're gonna do. Step 8, to find what?
Final endpoint.
The final
Last endpoint.
or last end point. How are we gonna find it? The same thing, the basis, which is bx minus c equal
0.
2
2
pi.
pi. I'm finding the last end point.
Oh, the period.
Yes, my graph started from this point and end to which point? That's what I need to find. So the graph started from 0 and end to x equal
2 pi.
2 pi.
How do you get that?
How do I get what?
How do you get x equals 2 pi?
Because how much the basis?
X, right? B.
X, is that the same thing, bx minus c? Which is x, so I'm gonna, instead of bx minus c, I'm gonna put x equal 2 pi. You got it? So the last point is what?
2 pi.
I know this is the last point, 2 pi.
It'll be easier with a real number.
The-
No, to understand it better.
Yes, but it has to do with the range,
Yeah.
because we know the circle is 0, pi over 2, pi, 2 pi, 3 pi over 4, got it? What's the next step? So I have the initial, I have a last point,
Divide the period by 4.
fine,
The scale.
the scale. So 9, the x scale is
1/2.
the period, which is 2 pi, divide by 4, which is equal 1 pi over 3. Yes. So far. Who has a question? Now we found the x scale is pi over 2. Then I need to find the next point. How much the initial point?
0.
0. I'm gonna add the scale, x scale. So how much the result?
Pi over 2.
So 0 plus pi over 2 is going to be pi over 2. That means my next point is going to be
Pi over 2.
pi over 2.
Oh,
You got it?
yeah, I was thinking 2 pi.
Now. Wait. So where is the initial point? On these steps, how much the initial point?
0.
0. Here is the 0. How much the x-scale?
Pi over two.
So the x-scale is the distance between the points. So the first point is 0. I'm gonna add the x-scale. Here's my first point here, which is pi over 2.
So
No.
you actually.
Yes, if I need to find the other point, what I'm gonna do?
Add pi over two.
To what? To the new point. So pi over 2, you're gonna add the scale, which is again pi over 2. How much there is up?
Pi.
That's the important part. It's gonna be 2 pi over 2, and the result is going to be pi. So the next point is going to be what? Pi. Yes or no? So far, it's okay?
Wait, how'd you, where do you like add
And then
two
to
pi
the
over, pi over 2 plus itself?
Yeah.
Because it's the same
One point to
diameter.
the next, so 1 point to the next, you had 0 plus pi over 2, then you to the next point, so now you go from the next, that point to the next point, so you initial plus the.
Oh, okay.
Because here is the new point, right? Now, if I need to find the next point to this one, I'm gonna take the new point and add the scale. And then we what? Pi. Now, if I need to find the other point, I'm gonna take the new point, which is pi, and how much I'm gonna add? Pi over 2. Yes. You have to focus. I know that. This is the best example.
So pi over 2 plus pi over 3, how do you get pi?
Okay, let's do it on the side. So pi over 2 plus pi over 2. Is that the same diameter? So it's going to be 2. Pi plus pi. This is this, how much is that? Okay. I'm gonna do it here. We add in pi plus pi over 2. So pi plus pi over 2. Can I write down pi over 1?
Yes.
Yes. Now, I need to get the common denominator. What I'm gonna do, multiply this one by 2, multiply this one by 2. So it's going to be 2 pi over 2 plus pi over 2. Now, is that the same denominator? So it's going to be 2. 2 pi plus pi. Is that right?
Yes.
Look at the circle.
So it's going to be next. 3 pi.
Change that 2 pi, go too far out to the right.
So we got here 3 pi over 2. Now tell me, how we gonna get the other point?
Pi over 2.
Here's the new point, right? 3 pi over 2, and how much you gonna add?
Pi over 2.
So how much going to be? The same denominator, right? So it's gonna be 4 pi over, which is equal what?
2 pi.
4 pi over 2, and it's going to be equal 2 pi. Is that the 2 pi?
Yeah.
So let's move this one.
Undo button.
There's 3 pi over. You got it now? Almost. Now what's the next step? We just need to graph the line. And we already know the maximum is 2 and the minimum is what? -2. With the sign, you're gonna start from the resting point. If it's positive, you're gonna go where? To the max. So where is the max? I'm gonna delete this one. Yes, the maximum for the graph is 2. The maximum point here is 2. So from the resting point, and you're gonna go where?
Up to.
To the 2. And then you're gonna go back where? To the resting point. So starting from the resting point, you're gonna go to the maximum, with this point, pi over two has the maximum. And then you go back to the resting point. Then you're gonna go where? To the minimum, which is -2. The minimum is going to be here. I'm gonna go to the minimum point and then go back where? To the resting point. You got it? So this is the graph of this function. I can say sine because it's 2 sine x for one period between 0 and 2 pi. You got it? Go ahead.
Question, sorry. So the initial point, which is 0, 0, correct? What is,
As a point, the initial is 0.
or, I'm sorry, like in the graph, like
The
the,
graph here is the 0.
yeah, what's the second
The
point?
second point, pi over 2.
No, like the dot.
Oh, this is
Right
Yeah.
Oh, it's, so that's, doesn't exist.
yes.
Oh, okay. I was gonna be.
So that I put the line first.
But that's why math teachers aren't artists.
Everything.
What's the first step? Here.
A equals
Find it,
-2.
Make sure the equation is written right.
Okay, so what I'm gonna say, it's a. So y equal,
A cosine of bx minus c plus d.
that's me, how much the A,
-2.
how much B,
X.
1.
Oh. X, same thing.
of 1. How much C,
Pi over 1.
see, now it's different example, pi over 4, how much D?
0.
0. And now I have all this information. Now, this is step 1. You have to make sure the function written like this general form.
And if it's not?
If it's not, you have to move it. Sometimes they write down the
Oh,
D
you
here.
have to like subtract and put it by itself.
No, sometimes they put the D in front, A
No, but
cos.
actually you have to like simplify it to.
No, it's not gonna be that much harder. Just make sure the D on the last part.
Is it like when we get polynomials, sometimes they'll put the d on the other side of the equal sign?
No. Not gonna be that much harder. Just you have to make sure A cosine the first function, everything with parentheses, and the D is the last number. Just gonna move it from here to the last.
Oh, you just change the sign.
Yes, not change it, don't change it.
So you remove it.
That's important.
Just move it.
So you just move it.
Like, for example, if you have y equal 5 minus 8 minus 6 sine 6x plus 5. I need to write down this similar to the original function.
So you just
Check the t,
-6 9.
I'm just gonna move the d here, so it's gonna be y equal.
Negative 6 sine bx
Said
and plus 5.
Plus 5. You got it? That's the only thing you
That's
want.
it.
Yes, that's it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so don't change the sign.
We got used to like subtracting the 5 and then it would be.
If it's on this side, if it's on this side, when you move it, you have to change the sign.
Oh, okay, I see.
But it's on the same side, no, you're just gonna move it to the last.
Yeah,
So
for
it
instance,
says 6
so that's
equals
just like
Y.
a plus b is the same as b plus a.
Yes.
I'm getting lost. I just.
Don't worry about this one.
Okay, I looked down and then I looked up and you were doing.
Because the number by itself,
A plus b equals b plus
okay,
a.
because the number by itself, so it's 100% going to be.
No, yeah. Right.
I'm gonna erase this in what we did.
He explains it.
We're gonna do also an example.
You can write. Kind of anyway.
As long as you keep the numbers the same, because if you have a -4, the -4.
Same values.
Yeah, the -4 can go anywhere.
It's in the same sign, it's in the same sign.
But if it's on the same sign, equal sign, if however you're gonna transfer it to the opposite side of equal sign, then you have to do the simple function, so if you're moving 4 with the opposite side.
Sir. Calm down.
You can let him all of them.
Yeah.
My brain is gonna melt.
So next step is what? Step one,
The absolute value.
step two, the absolute value of A, which is equal to
Two.
absolute value of -2, which is equal to. Step three,
Period. 251.
2 pi over B, which is equal to 2 pi over. How much x? How much did One. So it's going to be 2. Step 4. is what?
The shift.
How much the shift? The basis, which is x plus pi over 4.
Is it minus?
The basis here, it says bx minus c equal 1. This is the basis, right?
Mhm.
So it will be x plus pi over 4. That's, you don't have to do anything with this. There's a no. Next step.
Oh, because there was no B, because B is one. B is one, is that why you put that?
No, because I write down the original form here. And then,
You could just put one X
Yeah,
if you wanted to.
yeah, you can put one x, it's fine.
Yeah,
but X is just, X is one. Yeah. So it's
It's
just
one
one
X.
plus pi.
Not x equal 1, no, it's 1x.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Your step 3 is wrong.
2 pi over b,
2 pi over 4. Instead of 2 pi over 1.
B is one.
the
B is
the b,
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, I'm wrong.
it's fine. You gonna, I'm telling you, you're gonna lose somewhere here. So that's why you follow the steps, one by one. Now, here's the basis is what? The basis is everything from the cosine. So everything from the cosine is what? X plus pi over 4. Bx minus c is going to be this one. Okay? Now, next step is what?
Page for vertical shift.
The vertical shift. So t equal what? Step 6, which is y equal d, that's being y equal 0. That's the important part. So I know
Your starting point 0. Right?
it's gonna be 0.
Yeah, the line.
The line, yes. The line is 0. So this is y equal d.
And if it was like Y equals 6, it would be 6.
It's gonna be 6.
Yeah, okay.
6 up, 6 down, okay? So now I know the maximum and the minimum, because the rest line is y equals 0. And how much they up into? 2. That means the maximum point is going to be 2, and the minimum point is going to be -2. You got it? So where's 6, where's 6? Oh, the step, this is 6. Step 7 is what?
Determine the initial endpoint.
So the initial point, right? How are we gonna find the initial point, which is the basis,
Bx minus c.
bx, I'm writing down this so you can know what I'm doing. Bx minus c equals 0, right? How much the bx minus c? Pi over 4 equal, how much the x?
Take the file for
Negative pi over 4. So check where is the start point?
that.
Start point on this side. That's mean the start point here on the negative one. But here is negative pi over 4. That's the start point. Okay? Now, what's that step? Step 7, step 8. Now, before we go to step 8, it's a cosine and it's negative.
Yeah.
Start going down.
So start from the minimum. So I start from the rest line or from the minimum.
From the rest
So,
of it.
so here's my start point here. No, check the notes, A, B, C, D. On the notes, on the notes. A, B, C, D, right? It said
Negative cosine starts at the minimum.
at the minimum. Negative cosine start at the minimum. Is that negative cosine? Negative cosine. So where is the minimum? Here is the start point. Where is the minimum? This is the minimum, -2. So here is my start point here. Not from the rest line. The sine always gonna start from the rest line. If it's positive, you're gonna go up. If it's negative, you're gonna go down. For the cosine, you're gonna start not from the rest line, from the maximum and minimum. If it's positive, you're gonna start from maximum. If it's negative, from the minimum.
But
So
only if it's cosine.
only if it's cosine. Now, here's the start point. What's the next step? Eight. Eight is what?
The endpoint,
The end point. How are you gonna find the end point?
bx minus c
Bx minus c equal
equals 2 pi.
2 pi. So bx minus c equal 2 pi. That's mean bx minus c, which is x plus pi over 4 equal 2 pi. How are we gonna solve this one? I need to solve it for x. So I'm gonna say minus pi over 4 for both sides. That means x is going to be 2 pi minus pi over 4. You need to find the endpoint. So can I write down this over 1? Then I need to find the common denominator. So I'm going to multiply this one by
4.
This one by 4 and this one by 4. Times 4 and times 4. So x is going to be 8 pi over 4 minus pi over 4. X is going to be what?
7 pi over 4.
So the end point is what?
7 pi over 4.
I'm gonna put 7 pi over 4 here. There's the start point. Here's the end point. What's the next step? Step 9.
X scale.
Let's go here.
We use it 7.
Five divided by four.
Step 9. X squared, which is
Period over 4.
period over 4, which is equal
2 pi.
2 pi over 4. So it's going to be what?
Why is it over 4? The period is 2 pi.
The period is 2 pi, but I need to find the x scale. Number 9. It says to find the x scale, divide the period by the notes. 4. Number 9. By 4. So the period is what?
Oh, okay.
You got it now? Divided by 4, so it's going to be what? Pi over 2.
Nice.
What?
I say it's nice about the different denominators.
Yes, that's what you're doing. So it's a stretch and it's a length and it's what? Shifted to the left. So we're gonna shift the graph to the left. So now what's the next step?
I got a question. So the initial point plus the x scale.
Go ahead, work on it.
If we describe the graph before we go through these processes, would it be easier?
It's gonna be easier for you if you write down what was gonna happen. But the main thing, because you have to use the basic function and shift it to the left, reflect it, do the stretch, so it's gonna be hard to do these steps. So it's easier to walk like this step by step. So now, what's the first point? You have the first point, you're gonna add how much?
Pi over 2.
We're gonna add pi over 2. So the first point is,
0.
no, it's not 0. Here's the initial point.
Negative 5.
So negative pi over 4, add pi over 2. How much going to be? Let's work on it. Let's pi over 4, because we're gonna multiply by 2 by 2. So it's gonna be negative pi over 4. We're gonna add 2 pi over, and then it's going to be pi over 4. So the next point is what?
Pi over 4.
Here's pi over 4.
1 minus 2, we have.
Okay. So here's the next point. If I need to find the other point, how much I'm gonna add here?
Plus five.
5/2.
Again, so you're gonna do 5/4. You're gonna add the scale, which is 5/2. You're gonna do the same thing. Add 2 here, 2 here, and then it's going to be 5/4 plus 2 pi/4. And then it's going to be 3 pi/4. So the next point is going to be,
3 pi.
now, how am I gonna find the next one?
Five, five.
Again, you're gonna add 5/4. So it's a 3 pi/4. You're gonna add 5/4. 5/2. You're gonna multiply by 2. You're gonna multiply by 2. So 3 pi/4. 2 pi/4. So it's going to be,
Five, five.
so the next point here is 5 pi/4. And if you add another 2, 5/2 is going to be 7 pi/4. So you see, that's the period. How many points we have? 1, 2, 3. 4. The fourth one, you got it? Initial, last point. Now, what's the last step? Yeah, go ahead.
Why do we have 5 points on this one instead of 4?
Because it depends about the scale and the endpoint, the initial points. So it doesn't matter. Now, I'm gonna start from where?
The initial point.
Which is from the minimum.
Yeah.
So from the minimum, go where?
-5.
Like, I'm gonna go to the resting.
Yeah.
Then I'm gonna go up. Because then the active, go to the resting. Go up to the maximum, right? Yes or no?
Yeah.
The maximum here. Then go back where?
Down to.
To the resting. Okay, then go back to the maximum, to the minimum. Yeah. That's it. That's the whole period for this graph. From -5/4 to 7 pi/4. 7 pi/4.